What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Creative Rise podcast. So glad you are here today. It's a solo episode with just me, Christy, because I'm going to be explaining some of my story about how I got into full-time creative business and what that jump looked like from having 3 to sometimes 4 jobs at the same time while trying to pursue it versus doing it full-time, and when you can figure out when is the right time for you to jump in full-time. We've got like 3 little tips that we give you, or that I'm going to give you. I always say we because Joey and I always do this together, but that I'm going to give you on this episode that can lead you to being more confident in going full-time in your creative business. Because here's the thing we love, and this is one of my favorite sayings at Creative Rise, is that going full-time is not an emotional decision, it's actually a logical one. So here's my story, because I know that sometimes balancing 2 different jobs, 3 different jobs, 4 different jobs alongside of your creative business can be stressful. It can also totally sap a lot of your confidence when it comes to going full time when you've got these other jobs you're hanging on to. So way back in the day, it's 2014, I had graduated college. I was super stoked on pursuing what I wanted to do in my life. And I was very, very interested in pursuing wedding photography. I was like, okay, this is awesome. I've always had a knack for a camera, and I really want to build something that's my own. So I kind of started dabbling in it, as most people do when they're getting into their creative field. They start to dabble a little bit, see if they can get some jobs, see if they like it. And at the time, I was working 3 other jobs. So I was working for a nonprofit. I was working for a conference. I was doing some work for a church. I was doing all these different things in order to pay my student loans and be able to support myself financially in the position I was in. So you guys, I just remember waiting one specific moment, just so that you feel like, if you feel like you're struggling in a spot right now where you're like, finances feel scary and I don't know if going full-time is reasonable for me. I remember literally being like, waiting. I had my student loan due on Wednesday. It was like, okay, this amount was going to be coming out of my checking account on Wednesday. And I remember like waiting for my check to come from the job I was working at, like for Tuesday night. I was like sitting there waiting because I was like, I have not enough money in my bank account to pay for my student loan right now. Like, this is crazy. And I want to give you hope that there is a possibility for you having a brighter financial future with pursuing a creative business, because I remember being stuck in that spot and being so stressed out. And having these like 3 other jobs gave me almost this false sense of security when it came to like finances and living, and kind of sapped a little bit of my confidence in going full-time with my creative business. So at the time, I was doing all these jobs and I honestly hit a breaking point. I was like, okay, you know what? Like, living this way is not helpful for, first of all, emotional well-being, time well-being, relational well-being. But then I had this like epiphany moment where I was like, if I keep doing these 3 jobs alongside of my creative career, I'm going to stay financially in the exact same place. And this is the key that I think is so interesting. This is what I want you to think about in this episode is, are my other side jobs, is my 9 to 5, is what other job you have alongside of your creative career actually stunting your income capacity? And I found myself in a spot where I was completely stunted. I was living basically month to month, every single month, because I could not put all my eggs in one basket. And so I'm going to dive into that a little bit. But I remember being in that spot and being like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because I also feel this false sense of security with these other jobs. And this is where I know a lot of other creatives have found themselves in a very similar position to me, whether it's a while ago and you had just jumped into a 9 to 5 and you're trying to build your way out of it, or let's say like you were full-time in your creative career, the pandemic hit and it kind of threw everything for a loop and you needed to go get another job, which honestly, no shame in that, right? Like, no shame in that. If you had to like go out and get another job, that's awesome for you. Take care of what you need to take care of, right? But I want to give you some hope and maybe some 3 tips on maybe how to get out of that job and when to know you are ready. So that is what I want to talk about today, because man, you guys, here's the thing. Having these other jobs, the bad news is that's a false sense of security. Those other jobs aren't actually that secure. And that's the funny thing. It's so countercultural, so counter to maybe what your mom says or what your dad says or what your grandma says, whatever it is. These other jobs are not actually secure because they can chop you at any point, right? Your income could be gone in a second because someone else is dictating whether or not you get paid. Someone else is dictating whether or not you have a job. So this false sense of security oftentimes holds people in a financially stunted place, an income stunted place. It basically gets rid of all of the control that you have. And this is what I learned when I jumped from having all of these other jobs to then going full-time in my career, was for my creative career, was that I have so much control over my income. Joey and I have so much control over how much money we want to make. So if we're like, hey, we want to do this, okay, how do we just make the money? How do we do it? And it's honestly as simple as that. But if you never learn it, you're going to always view these other jobs as these false sense of security. And I don't want anyone to live that way. And so we're going to jump into 3 tips to know when you are ready to go full time. Because the good news is it's not about emotion. It's not about anything like that. It's actually about logic. So here are 3 signs that you are ready to go full time. So the first one, it's super simple. It's very logical. Have 3 to 6 months of living and operating expenses saved up. This is your safety net. Now, if you already have got like lots of clients and things like that, I would still say figure out a way to have 3 to 6 months living expenses totally set aside. That way you can jump out of your job. You can then be confident that you have 3 to 6 months of runway to get your business fully off the ground. So 3 to 6 months living expenses saved up is tip number 1. And then tip number 2, or a sign that you're ready to go full time, is that it's risking and costing you more money to stay where you are than it is to go full time. This is where it is so important to think about, you guys. When I was back in that spot, I was making like barely anything. I could barely make my student loans, right? But when I decided to go full time and take a risk ongoing on my wedding photography business, boom, all of a sudden my financial situation totally changed. So if you feel like you have all this lack of energy and you have no time to spend on your business, then you shouldn't be surprised that maybe your business isn't thriving. But think about, what if you could put all of that effort and time into your business that you're currently putting into your side job or your 9 to 5? What would it look like if you can make the jump? What would that look like financially for you? Is it actually costing you money to stay in those jobs? Like if you think about it, if you're like making $3,500 a month in your maybe 9 to 5 or something like that, and you were to look at your business and go, oh my gosh, well, if I booked 2 $2,500 gigs a month, I'd be making $5,000 a month. And if I had all that time, I really think I could do it, right? It's like a no-brainer when that happens. So if you're kind of like, oh, shoot, I actually don't really know how that would break down. I don't know how many gigs I would need to do. I don't know about pricing, all that kind of stuff. How would this all break down? I've got a super simple thing you can do right now that's going to give you tons of confidence in this area. So all you got to do is go to Creative Rise. We've got a free pricing calculator. It's in the notes description of this podcast. It's totally free. Our gift to you. It's a pricing calculator. We just want creatives to be able to price in a way that actually makes sense for them and actually gets them to their goals. So go into the pricing calculator. You can literally put in like how much money you need to make, like figure out how much money you need to make annually with all of your other jobs and things like that. Now you don't have to go dream annual income, but just go for like, hey, this is what I need to survive. Go in, put that income in, and then use all the toggles to figure out how much do I need to charge, how many gigs do I need to take, all of that kind of stuff, and literally get a plan. Get a plan for like, this is what I need to make, and this is what I will have to do in order to make that income. You'll probably be surprised, and this is what always people say, is they're so surprised how little they actually have to work in their creative business in order to make what they need to make to live. So I want you to go to the Creative Rise pricing calculator, do that, then break down how many jobs you need to reach that income goal, and then assess and ask yourself, if I had all the time that I'm currently putting into these side jobs, into my 9 to 5, school, whatever it is, if I could put that towards my creative business, do I reasonably think I could make this happen? Like if I had the time to be able to do this, could I make it happen? And if the answer is yes, then why the heck are you still in your other job? That is a surefire sign to go, hey, quit that other job and just go for it. And then the last sign that you're ready to go full time is if you have a few clients and a plan to grow. So you need to have clients, right? It doesn't mean you have to have all of your clients for the future, but you need to have done some stuff and be able to be like, hey, you know what? I know I can give value to this type of client or to this type of service. It doesn't mean you need to like shot a million weddings or worked with a ton of brands. It just needs to know, hey, I think I have the capabilities to do this and to do it well, and that you actually like doing it. So don't start your business if you're only interested in the benefits of just being a business owner. You got to know that you can actually provide value to your clients and to be able to test it out. And then you guys have a clear plan to grow. figure out, what do I need to focus on in my marketing in order to attract new clients? What do I need to do to be able to pitch these new clients? What do I need to say? Get your ducks in a row of what you need. So you don't need to have everything. Oftentimes people think like, oh, I just need to have everything super professionally done before I can start. That's not true. I worked off a $100 lens for the first 3 years of my business. You don't need the highest gear. You don't need the most expensive website. You don't need all of that kind of stuff. But you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan of how you're going to grow, how you're going to meet that income goal. And if you have those 3 things down, the 3 to 6 months of living expenses, you also have the mindset of, hey, if I could put all this effort in towards my creative business, I would be making more money than I would in my current position, or I would make enough to be able to live on. And then 3, you've got a few clients under your belt and you have a plan to grow. Then you guys, you are ready to jump full time. When I left my 3 jobs, I was like, okay, I'm giving myself 6 months. I'm giving my 6 months of runway to be able to pursue this wedding photography thing and see if it happens. And literally, you guys, I hit 6 figures within the next 24 months. I hit 6 figures and I was like, dang, if I was back with all those jobs onto those false security blankets, I would be nowhere near what I would be making now, what I would be doing now, the fulfillment I have in life, in my business, and it's so worth it. So you guys, ditch the fear, hold on to that logic of like, hey, am I ready? And just go for it. And if you feel like, man, I needed to hear this, I know I need to do this, but honestly, I'm kind of freaked out, or like, I don't have a plan. I don't know exactly what I need to be doing in order for this to be successful. We've got something for creatives that really help them make the jump from either having a 9-to-5 and going full time, or if you're already pursuing your creative career and it's going well, but you know it could be even better. We've got a mastermind and we've designed it just for somebody like you. It actually starts September 10th. It's our 6-week mastermind. It's like a jetpack fuel of momentum. You're surrounded by coaching, community, accountability, all of these cool things for 6 full weeks with other creatives just like you. And it is honestly our favorite thing that we do. This is our 10th round. We've had like 250 creatives go through it. It's amazing. And again, it starts September 10th. Waitlist applications go live August 23rd. So you can join the waitlist on creativerise.com. You can go to our Instagram. You can find all of the buttons to join the waitlist. It sells out every single time. So if you want something like that and you're like, I don't want to be isolated in this decision, I want to go forward with a bunch of other people who are going to celebrate and support me, then this is for you. Don't miss out on it. Don't do the creative business alone. Don't make the jump alone. And I hope this episode was helpful. You guys, going full time is honestly the coolest thing ever. And it can feel scary, but just remember, it's not based on emotion. It's based on logic. And if you meet those 3 things, you can confidently move forward. I promise you. If you've got any questions, please DM us. We're always happy to DM people back and forth on maybe their situation. If you've got a creative question, anything like that, we'd be happy to help. So you guys, go out, figure out these 3 things. If you're ready to go, send in that notice. We love a good quitter. Okay, you guys, have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next week.